All right, there are two articles I want to address today. One is from the Jerusalem Post that is talking about Mr. Abbas. As we know, he is the president, leader of the Palestinian Authority. And basically, this is what the article says. It says it is unlikely coincidental that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas this weekend restated a call for popular resistance against Israel as the PA boss, back up against the wall, is seen by critics as having resorted to the often used tactic of deflecting blame away from his own shortcomings and onto the occupation. Increasingly, observers opine that Abbas's actions appear driven by his marginalization, with the Trump administration last week having expressed an unprecedented willingness to bypass the PA altogether if it means enhancing the security and economic prospects in the Gaza Strip. The cold hard truth may be setting in, namely that Abbas is nearing the end of his road without having made much tangible progress towards achieving statehood for his people. To the contrary, the Palestinians arguably are divided more than ever between the West Bank and Gaza Strip, which effectively constitute distinct and competing entities. Now, Abbas is publicly Hamas ceasefire deal, possibly out of fear of being further sidelined. This at a time when growing anger is being directed at the Palestinian chief, including rare protest in Ramallah. And many think that he's just stalling, trying to disrupt even what's going on in the Gaza Strip, but basically trying to maintain the status quo. But other reports indicate that this may be going forward without him. And read on, it says, analysts believe the outbreak of violence would undoubtedly refocus the international spotlight on PA governed territory, thereby raising Abbas' status. So basically, or stature. Basically, Mr. Abbas is, in essence, just trying to keep the spotlight on himself, even though his time is come and possibly could be over within a very short amount of time. This time around, however, there is an apparent reluctance on the part of major players to throw Abbas a bone. Instead, the parties involved, from the U.S. to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, to Israel, and to a lesser degree, even Hamas and its patron Qatar, seem intent on promoting stability through compromise. There are, it would seem, more pressing regional bones to pick, especially Iran. So it appears that many of the players, including the United States, are keen upon Hamas and the Gaza Strip and have pretty much walked away from the West Bank. And they've also dropped a significant amount of support that has been given to the West Bank Palestinian Authority in the past. Now that has been frozen. Should Abbas indeed be relegated to the back burner, then it would mark a major shift in the diplomatic arena, raising a myriad of questions regarding the future composition and role of the PA, which since its inception in 1994 has been viewed as the primary representative body of the Palestinian national movement and thus the only address for all things Palestinian related for most peace negotiations with Israel. According to Gora Ilan, formerly the head of Israel's National Security Council, Abbas's diminished standing is self-inflicted, resulting from his decade-long inability to bridge the intra-Palestinian divide. The current dynamic is primarily the outcome of the separation of the PA and Hamas, which created two political entities, irrespective of whether the international community wanted this. Elon attributes the potential to reach a truce agreement to a dramatic shift in Egypt's policy to the detriment of the PA. Until recently, Cairo insisted that Abbas reassume administrative control over Gaza, which Hamas would not accept, especially the call for it to disarm. Now Egypt understands that this is not realistic and is only demanding that Hamas prevent the Islamic State's affiliate in the Sinai from smuggling in weaponry. The only party that is unhappy with this arrangement is Abbas. he expounded, who has been left behind. But this is his problem. The PA is responsible for the situation. I do not know what Abbas intends to do, nor has he necessarily decided that popular resistance will entail. I can understand his frustration, but provoking violence can backfire, so I do not anticipate any dramatic change on the ground because of what is happening in Gaza. So it appears that much of the Arab world, if not all of it, is on board with making Hamas the new home of the PA, leaving the West Bank and Mr. Abbas behind. But frankly, I believe that as the money begins to dry up, which it probably already has, and Mr. Abbas's popularity begins to wane in the West Bank, I think that new leadership will probably arise. And they will eventually get on board with Mr. Trump's peace proposal. Now, as I've said many times, I don't know that the final peace accord will be led by Mr. Trump. The Bible is pretty clear in saying that the European Union or the revived Roman Empire, somebody would come out of that region to bring peace with many. We'll have to wait and see how that actually develops. For right now, the Trump administration is in charge. And frankly, I don't care who finalizes the peace accord, just as long as it gets done. And let me take you to another article in which there is a rumor going around right now that U.S. sources are indicating that Mr. Trump is going to unveil his peace proposal on September 25th at the UN. And let me read a little bit of that article as well. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to introduce his Middle East peace plan, dubbed the Deal of the Century, during the UN General Assembly meeting in New York next month. The Palestinian daily Al-Quds reported Monday. The 73rd General Assembly session will be held from September 18th to October 5th and will feature speeches from prominent world leaders, including Trump, who is set to address the assembly on September 25th. The United States has in the past warned that if Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas remains adamant in his refusal to engage the U.S. as a mediator in the Palestinian-Israeli peace process, Washington will introduce its regional peace plan regardless of his reservations. Abbas has been shunning the U.S. Peace efforts since Trump's December 6 recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital and the subsequent move of the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and has accused the Trump administration of being grossly biased in Israel's favor. Last week, Jason Greenblatt, Jared Kushner, and Nikki Haley, and also the ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, the four envoys released a joint statement on Twitter acknowledging that no one will be fully pleased with the much anticipated Israeli-Palestinian peace plan. Peace can only succeed if it is based on realities, the statement said. Al-Quds quoted an unnamed American official as saying that Trump has been keeping the details of the plan close to the vest, as he prefers to outline it in full at the world leaders meeting. The source said Trump believed that if his plan for Middle East peace were to fail, no other U.S. plan would be able to resolve the decades-long regional conflict. The official stressed that it would be up to the Israelis and Palestinians to accept or reject the plan. So that very well may be where the failure comes in, and where this particular leader comes aboard out of the European Union and takes what has already been presented and tweaks it a bit so that both parties do come and accept this. But we'll have to wait and see how this turns out. But that's definitely on my calendar of events that we need to keep an eye on September 25th to see if, in fact, this plan is unveiled or if there's another delay. And I hope that this certainly is not a rumor, but I hope it's for real. But I'll certainly keep you up to date and posted on this. And if you know the Lord, today is the day of salvation. Don't put it off. If, in fact, this is the real peace plan, that means the rapture of the church must be before that. I mean, we're going to be learning lots of details if it's true come September 25th. So you need to make that decision for Christ before that takes place. And today is the best time to do so. If you don't know the Lord, I would encourage you to make that decision now. And you Christians, if you care about your lost loved ones, I'd get them a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide. If this is indeed the peace plan that the Bible talks about in Daniel 9:27, then we're only a short time away from it being revealed. I would certainly get a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide, put it on their device, or get the paperback version, which you can actually hand to them. But I would certainly make that investment today. Just go down to the description section in this video and click on the link and go to my website, and it will take you to whichever version that you would like to get. But I hope you'll do that today. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.